All right. Hi, everyone. This is Nichel. Welcome to my podcast show, Surviving Your Journey to a Success. This is my summer break. In June, July, August, I release one episode. So thank you so much for joining me today. This is going to be a quick podcast episode where I just like to kind of touch on different topics. Today, I want to talk about basically how management, what's the best way, how they can say and do the obvious when their selective management team is not up to par and it's time to make that decision. So in today, I like to just say, to start it off, thank you so much for joining me. And a prayer I like to say in the beginning, and since it's my summer break, I'm going to go ahead and just say it on top of my head that I want to give thanks to the greater good for all that I've been blessed with, all the opportunities, and that I will use this platform to encourage and motivate those that seek to have peace, and in my humbleness to be thankful of any blessings that come to me that I give forth to others, so we can do that complete 360, because that's life. All right. I changed it up there, but you know what I mean. For those that follow me, and if you haven't followed me, consider to do that. So I do drop these short episodes during my summer break, just to kind of, relax and also get my mind together, my thoughts, so I can be able to share with you, to motivate you and encourage you. So today I just felt that to talk about the corporate life, when you working for someone else, and to really talk about those at the top, the CEO, board members, chairman, whatever, and you are in the position that you know that management that either you hired or someone else hired and you took over the reins, that is not working out. And what can you do about it? Or maybe you're in the predicament where you're looking at it, should you do something about it? Right? Sometimes it's always good to kind of get a refresher, because you might already know these things, and maybe some that not sure or don't know. So I'm just going to be going through this like 3 points. And then, like I said, I like to keep my summer episodes very short because I'm on vacation for 3 months, right? Before I return back in September. Don't forget to do that. I return back September the 13th this year for my 5th season. If you haven't subscribed to my newsletter, please do. Go to nichelanderson.com. So let's get into this. So the first thing that I like to hone on about how to say, or how to know to do the obvious when the management that's underneath you isn't working. And number one is you have to time it, right? If issues are in the negative, right, for a year, it's time to move on. And when I say issues, it could be the decisions that have been made of processes. Processes is the engine of a department, of an organization, to move forward, to reach the objective that you seek, right? Every company has a brand. Every company has to produce a product or a service to be able to live up to that brand. Decisions is the fuel, is the recipe, right, for you to get those goals. If the manager that is over that, and the end result is the process is very combative, very restrictive, you get that feedback from customers. You hear it when you listen to the calls coming in. You time that at least by a year. 12 months is enough. Actually, a month is enough. But 12 months a year give you enough data to say this is where you can go back to when you make your decision. It's time to let them go and move on. So that's number one. You time it of how you're going to look at the data of the results, right? And so the next one is high turnover. That's very, very important. That's like the meat in a sandwich. If there's high turnover and you're constantly seeing that particular manager is creating more training classes, hiring, that's so much money going out the door instead of reinvesting it in the employees that you have, that they can get bonuses, that they can do other type of activities. It shouldn't be where it's to the point that the calls are going off the hook. It's so many calls backed up that they actually hang up. So you have a lot of lost opportunities. It should not be that way. All right. So with that, you have to look at it in a way that something has to be done. And especially with high turnover, you can't really cover it up. I know some companies or some people, what have you, in businesses try to cover it up. They do advertisement, they do all of that. They have other people give them reviews or whatever, how that works. It doesn't work with that. And I think that's the key of life, because humanity is tied into the energy and the motivation that you can't really read it. It just is. And that's why it's hard to cover it up. So you can have 50 different classes, and then you get them on the floor. If the processes is still not where it should be, and it's subpar or not par at all, eventually those new people is going to see that, because you got to tell them that this is how this 1 plus 3 is actually 20, stuff like that. They're going to leave. That's why it's a high turnover, because the root has not been identified, has not been acknowledged, hasn't been spoken of the obvious that is wrong, is not working, and the manager that's making it is not working. And so you have to do something about it. And that's why it's a high turnover, that you're constantly looking for new talent, but the issue has not been resolved. You're still using bad fuel in the machine, in the car. So that's not going to work. And high turnover clearly signals that decision making has totally been wrong. It's a disconnect. You have to connect with your employees so the employees will connect with you. And I have said this over and over again. People eventually get tired. They don't care how much money you're paying. They want mental peace. Without mental peace, they're not happy. Yeah, they're spending this and that, but overall, it's just worn on their minds and their bodies. It's unhealthy, and it just creates this toxicity that is something that you can't really touch on. It's just there, the energy. The next one is the balance game. So the balance game is, the blame game is really no strategy. That's what that means. So if it's always being told to you that the reason why this has happened, that has happened because that person hasn't done this, or that person doesn't meet the type of metrics, let's put it that way. The blame game is really to say, I have no other strategy but doing the same thing that doesn't work, which is insanity. Because if it doesn't work, you have to turn the page for something new. So out of those 3 things where I want to do your takeaway, and I'm going to end this podcast, and the takeaway is that you as the CEO or the chairman or what have you, that oversees all these departments and see the management, the leadership there, you have to say the obvious. It's not working, and we need to put in something new. You have to be strategic about it, because a change up like that, can't be always easy. But at the end of the day, what is your alternative? Because you can't keep staying on the boat that is heading right to an iceberg. Somebody got to say, we got to make a turn. And it's going to be rough a little bit when you make that turn, but eventually you get on the highway of the success that you deserve. You shouldn't be blamed for a manager or management that is not up to par and is not bringing the brand that it needs to. And the customers are saying all types of things that you can see and hear, and the numbers and actually what you hear and read. And if the employees are leaving to the point that you have to create more training classes and more hiring opportunities, it's like a tire. Eventually a tire, can't continue to be riding on rough terrain. I don't care what type of all terrain. Eventually, it gets tired and worn out, and that's what you got to look at it. And if it's at a high turnover rate of employees, you got to do something. That's nothing but money going right out the window in a jet. So that's fast. All right. So that's what I want to touch on today, and I hope you take this in a humble way. Those that are listening and need this message, and if you don't need it, and if you already did what you need to do and said the obvious, hey, good job. You being a prestige leader. All right. I'm going to end this, and thank you so much. I'm enjoying my summertime, and I will be back in September. All right. Thank you so much for your support and for your encouragement to me that I do get from people that do listen to my podcast. And I wish you nothing but the best. All right. Have a good one. Talk to you in the next one.